Jesus' mother. Yes. Do all of you have a mother? If you have a mother, raise your hand. You all have mothers, yes. And do you know what? You know what your mothers have? Your mothers all have a very special box that has special things about you in that box. She's got probably your little baby bracelet when you were a little baby, and she may have some of your little baby clothes, and she may have your first little baby blanket. She may have a lot of pictures of you because mamas hold things very special in their heart. But sometimes they have a box. Well, Mary was Jesus' mother, and she had a very special box. And this is it. It was a beautiful box. It had beautiful pictures on it because Jesus had made that box. He was a carpenter. Well, Mary loved to open the box. And she would go to her grandma's house to see where to open the box, the very, very special treasure box. So one day, Mary did all of her chores. She fed all the animals, and she ran to her grandmommy's house, and she says, "Oh, grandmommy, I want to see the treasure box." And grandmommy says, "Okay, we can do that." So they ate a little sandwich, and they sat beside a big fire. And it was very, very nice. And grandmommy says, "Well, let's light some candles before we read or before we do the story." So she did, and she lit some candles so that it would be a very special story time. Mary was so excited because she loved the things that were in the treasure box. Do you know what's in the treasure box? You don't know. I don't think you know. Does anybody know what's, Miss Crystal, do you know what's in this treasure box? You do? There's some special things in here, aren't there? So Mary says, okay, so she jumped up in her grandma's lap. You see how she's here in the picture? And she's opening the treasure box. So they opened the treasure box, but before they did, they looked at the beautiful angel. Because all over the story of the birth of Jesus were angels. Angels were everywhere. They were flying in the sky, and they were just telling everybody about the baby Jesus is born in Bethlehem. It was a very special thing. Mary says, "Oh, grandmommy, let's open the box. I'm so excited about it." So grandmommy says, okay. So she opened up the top of the box, and inside of it was some beautiful, beautiful material. And Mary knew how she had to do it. She had to spread the material out very, very well so that all the things in the treasure box could go on the material. She was so excited. And Mary held all these things close to her heart. Well, the first thing she pulled out of the box was some beautiful rope that had lots of different colors in it. Because you know what? Jesus was the king. And kings always wore beautiful colors. And what are some of the colors? Purple and red and blue and gold. Those are colors of royalty. Kings and queens wear those colors. Those were very special colors. So Grandmommy and Mary put the very special colored rope all around the treasure box to make it more special. So Mary says, "Oh, Grandmommy, can we start getting the things out of the box?" And she says, "Sure." Colter's going to take a couple of the things out of the box for me. So she reaches into the box and she pulls out something all wrapped up in green, and she opens it, and she opens it, and she opens it, and it opens it, and look, what is it? What is it? Who are these people in here? Do you know? There's the baby Jesus. There's Mary and Joseph, the baby Jesus' mommy and daddy, and there's a sheep. And what's up in the sky? A star, because a star is what told people that the baby Jesus was born. There was a big star in the sky. Mary says, "Oh, Grandmommy, let's get some more things out of the box." So she reached into the box and got a big, big piece of old white material. See how old and dirty it looked? And she undid it, and she says, oh, I know that there's things in here. So she laid it down in front of her, and the first thing that she found when she unrolled it was a star, because the star was in the east. And the star told the wise men and the shepherds where the baby Jesus was born. And they followed the star that went in the sky. The star was very special to the Christmas story. As she opened it up a little bit more, she found what does Colter have there?
A staff.
A shepherd's staff. Because a staff is what the shepherds had to use to get their sheep to follow them. And that reminded Mary of how the sheep were always, they were at the baby's birth too. And then she opened it a little bit more, and there was some what? Hay. Why was there hay? Why was that special?
Because they had to put near some Jesus to live.
That is so right. That's good. Jesus was born in a manger, in a cradle, and to make it soft. It wasn't soft like your baby bed was. It had hay, and they laid the baby Jesus on top of the hay. And then she unrolled it a little bit more, and there was a little bitty bag, and it didn't seem to have anything in it. It seemed like it was empty, but Mary knew there was something in it. And as she opened it up, she found some little pieces of, you know what that would be?
Feather.
What do sheep have on them? Wool, right? So there were some little pieces of wool to remind them that there were sheep at the baby's birth. And then Mary opened it a little bit more and found this beautiful little cloth which went over the top of the pillow where Jesus laid his little baby's head. You had a little baby pillow when you were a little baby, and that's what that baby.
And my mom had a little baby.
And then she opened it up and found a little bitty what? What is that? It's a little bitty spoon. Why would there be a spoon? Because Mary had to feed the baby Jesus with a little bitty spoon, just like your mommies fed you when you were little.
Yeah.
Then Mary said, oh, Grandma, I know there's other things in the box. Can we get some more? So Mary reached in and found another thing, and she opened it up and pulled out a big bag.
Angel.
Of what?
Angel.
An angel. Now, why were there angels? Angels were they were flying around and telling people what? The baby Jesus is born, right? There was some angels. Then Mary reached in again and found some. Let's see what's in this bag. What is it? Can you tell? What is that? Do you know? It's a horn. It's a horn. Who played the horns? The angels played the horns. And they announced that Jesus is born. And they played the horns in the sky. The baby Jesus is born. And then they reached in and found something very long, Mary did. And Mary says, oh, I know what this is. And she pulled out a very long whistle or flute. You know why there was a flute? Because when the shepherds were in the field, they would sit out and they would, under the stars, they would play music like this. Isn't that pretty? The shepherds played music in the fields because they were announcing also the birth of Jesus. Well, then Mary reached into the box one more time and pulled out a beautiful little pillow. And who's on the pillow?
Joseph.
Mary and Joseph and the baby. This was a very special pillow, and she laid it right in here. Well, then she pulled out another bag and opened it, and let's see what's in this bag. Oh, what is this? why there was a bell in there? Because the shepherds always put bells around their sheep so they would know where they were. And they would know where all the animals were. So that the bells would say, oh, I hear the animals. So then they're almost at the end of the box. And Mary looks down and says, oh, I know what this is. I know what this one is. And so she reaches into this big red bag and pulls out a little what? What is he? What does he look like? Does he look like a king? A king? He looks like a wise man. How many wise men were there? Three. 1, 2, 3 wise men. And he looks like one of the wise men. The wise men brought gifts to the baby Jesus. Do you know what they brought? They brought 3 gifts to the king. Okay? But before the wise men came, there were also some, she reached in and pulled out a little what? Drum. Why would there be a drum? The little drummer boy was playing dum, 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 dum. That's the song that you hear at Christmas time. It was played music. Music was a very special part of the baby's birth. So she reached in, and the kings, there were 3 kings, and they brought 3 gifts. They brought frankincense. You'll be able to smell these when you finish. They brought, one of them brought a really big box of myrrh, which was his present to the king. And another one brought a big box of gold. A big box of gold, because the kings brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh to the baby Jesus. Well, Mary was almost through and she reached into the box and she found one more special thing. And she reached into this, and there was one very special thing. Because there was so many things in the box, but there was one that was most important. It was a very special box, and it played very special music. Let's see if we can hear it. Because music always told us that the baby Jesus was being born. Let's see if we can hear it. Listen. Hear it? The baby Jesus is born. The baby Jesus is born. But Mary says, oh, Grandmommy, that was such a special box. I love that box. But Grandmommy says, I have one more surprise for you that was not in the box. Mary says, oh, you have something new? She says, yes. So she reached behind the box and found a little wooden sculpture. And this is something very special. It's another music box. This was really made where Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Who are the people here? Do you see the people? Mary and Joseph and the baby and the 3 kings and some shepherds. Do you see some animals? See some animals? But let's listen and hear what it plays. Colter. Silent night, holy night, all is calm. That was very special to Mary. Mary held all these things very close into her heart because Jesus was a very special person, wasn't he? Right? Yes, Christmas is about Jesus, right? It's Jesus' birthday at Christmas time. You remember that. And you go home today and you tell your mommy and your daddy, Christmas Day is Jesus' birthday. Will you do that?
Yes.
All right. Let's say a prayer. Will you pray with me? Put your hands together. Let's say a prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you for loving us and taking care of us, and thank you for the joys and the laughter of children. Help us to always know that Christmas is Jesus' birthday. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thanks, Mama Jane.